So in today's web dev tip, we're going to carry on with our full end-to-end project by actually starting to create our project files, and that will be the placeholder and the boilerplate code for our front end and our back end API services. So there are lots of different ways that we can do this, but one tool that I'm particularly fond of at the moment is the NX monorepo pattern. And what this does is it provides you with a CLI, a tool that will enable you to create different types of apps, whether they're front-end apps or back-end apps, such as an API service, and keep them all in one Git repository, which does make it really easy to share information between the files. And also when you come to deploy, all of your code will be in one pipeline. So we'll get onto that in a few lessons' time. So you can use other tools if you wish, but for the project that we're going to be doing on DevTips Daily, I'm going to be using NX as the actual tool. So to install NX, if you haven't used it before or installed it before, we just say npm install -global to give it as global availability on the command line, and then the tool is just called NX. And once that's installed, what you'll find is you've got a tool on the command line, a program called NX, and you use it just by using the keyword or the command name NX. And there are different types of options that you've got for running and building your project, which we'll get onto in later lessons. But once you've got this tool installed, you'll be able to use those commands to build your project. So let's just go ahead and create a new workspace here. So NX create workspace at latest. This will just give us the latest version of the NX boilerplate code. And our project name, as we decided in the previous tutorial, is rickandroll. And that will be the name of the directory for all of our files, but also the project name that NX uses as well. So if we run that, it should create a new directory for us to put all this stuff in. And it's just saying that we need to install this package as well. So let's just say yes to that. And let me just make the font a little bit smaller here, because you get lots of different options of what you want to create. So we can just create an empty workspace, but NX provides us with some templates that we can use. And we haven't really made any firm decisions as to what sort of front end we're going to be creating. But what I'm going to go for, at least we know for the back end, we're going to want some kind of service to generate those URLs and to handle the redirects. And that's ideally done with a framework like Express. So what I'm going to do for our workspace is just create a workspace with a single Express application. And here again, we're being asked for the project name. I think it does take the default that you've provided, but let's just make sure that we're using the right one there now. And you can use the NX Cloud to speed up your builds if you wish to, but for our purposes it won't really make much of a difference, so we'll just leave that as it is. So this can take a few minutes just to install all of the packages. We're doing an npm install right now, so this might take a bit of time, so I'll just skip to the part of the video where this has finished and we'll carry on with our setup. Okay, so once that's finished installing, you'll have your project set up with all of the necessary dependencies. And if we just navigate into the folder, the project that we created, we can just open this up in Visual Studio Code and take a quick look at what we've got. So once we open up Visual Studio Code, if you go into the apps folder, you can see that we've got this rickandroll project that we've created, which is indeed actually an Express application. And in here is all of the code to run our Express server in a very basic way. So you can see here we've got all of this configuration set up, and we're using TypeScript, but we've just got a basic Express server running on this particular port. And so what NX has done is done a lot of the hard work of putting all the tooling together and creating that app. And it will allow us to, as I mentioned, add other apps such as a front end or other back end services if we need to. So there you go, we've got our basic project structure set up. In the following videos, what we're going to be doing is going through some of the features of NX and getting our server up and running locally. And then we'll be looking at getting it into a GitHub repository and pushing that up and getting the service working on a live URL. But that's all coming up in the next future videos, so make sure you stay tuned for more web dev tips.